Hello and welcome to World Talks with me, Ashim Kumar. Today we will focus on the US-led Project Freedom operation in the Strait of Hormuz, where naval confrontations with Iran are escalating. Global shipping is disrupted, and Washington insists the mission is defensive and temporary. With us is Frank Musmar. He's a member of the Abrahamic Business Circle Advisory Board. Frank, welcome back to TVP World. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Ashim. Thanks for having me again.
Pleasure. So how would you characterize this, what looks like a stalemate on the Straits of Hormuz at the moment?
Well, the stalemate is from Iran, not from the United States. If you remember the operation, main target, main goal at the beginning, at the beginning of the operation, it was because of the Iran nuclear program. That's the main goal. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is a side effect of that operation. Iran has a problem, has a conflict between the political fraction and the armed military fraction that controlling the country now. And if you can tell from the conditions that they offer the United States based on the settlement that they're trying to reach with the United States, they had, according to news, 14 points, and the points were: number one, to open the Strait of Hormuz, and for the United States military forces to leave the area, and guarantees for not to attack the Iranians again, which is like, if we're gonna separate that between politicians and between military guards or whoever controls the country now. Normally politicians, they look for settlements. Normally military people, they look for guarantees because they want to keep their positions. They don't want to fight with civilians after they fall down. And then the one that really they will look for reconciliation will be the civilians in Iran. So for me, reading those points, I could tell that whoever controlling Iran is those revolutionary guards, which is military fraction. There is no politicians that they can decide anything beside, they've been just a picture, just people that they can show to the world that they still have a political system. But in reality, they are not the one that controlling the country.
That may be so, Frank, but I mean, the whole aim also was to blockade Iranian ports, to squeeze Iran economically, with a view, presumably, to destroying its IRGC leadership, economically speaking. How is that going?
Well, okay, over history, nations fall down based on economy, not really like being defeated in the battlefield. And we could tell that from the all over the history, from the Soviet Union, Ottoman Empire, Spanish Empire, you name it, even to the Roman Empire. So the United States was trying to control Iran without destroying Iran. We don't want to, in the United States, we don't want to destroy Iran. At the end, we want Iran to be a portion of the future of the Middle East, but we don't want Iran that is now with all that kind of religious revolutionary ideas of taking over the Middle East. That's what actually the entire concept of the Iranian regime. So what we want now is trying to control him through an economy blockade, of course, plus the military blockade. And in my opinion, the economy blockade is really more effective, because Iran, for the last 47 years, they claiming that they were able to overcome all kind of sanctions, but in reality, it wasn't the same like the sanctions that we have now. Iran, well known that it has that shadow fleet, that was using for a long time. And in the meantime, using all kind of money laundering and cryptocurrencies and all that to support all their operations, military operations, whatever you call it. So I think the United States is bidding on those blockades, both of them, the military and economy blockade, to try and maybe control Iran. And actually, that's what Trump said a couple of days ago. He said that he bid that those blockades will be more effective.
Right. Now, one of the things, of course, that the American Navy is doing is providing safe conduct to some ships. I mean, that has just started. How sustainable is that approach?
Well, we have to distinguish between the two operations. The Epic Fury operation is different than the Freedom operation or the Freedom Project. The Freedom Project, it was a response from the United States to a plea from many countries that they have many ships been detained by the Iranians in or within the Gulf area, the Persian Gulf or the Arabic Gulf, whatever they call it. And it has around 20,000 civilian people. And it was like a humanitarian operation, period. But in the meantime, as Secretary of the States, Mark Rubio, said that if someone attack us, we're going to attack him back. And we said that, but in the meantime, Iranians, look at the conflict. Like Mr. Pezeshkian, he said that he does not agree with the Revolutionary Guard, the way they did, the way they tried to attack those ships, and they attacked the United Arab Emirates as well yesterday. So most likely the conflict within Iran is very obvious between whoever controlling Iran, which is I say the Revolutionary Guard, and in the meantime the United States is trying just to create a straight or free passage for those ships. So in the meantime, I don't think that the international laws. The international countries and international community is understanding what the United States is trying to do. It's trying to help the international community and the countries that they are the most affected by this blockade from the Iranians.
Right, but you talk about the international community, and South Korea comes to mind because America has provided security for a South Korean transport, and President Trump is saying that maybe South Korea should get involved in protecting the Strait of Hormuz against these attacks by these so-called fast boats.
Well, if you want my opinion, just to get out of politics and just talk straightforward, the United States is not really influenced by this blockade. We know the United States does not take from this area more than 1 to 2% of the energy products. The one that most affected is the European Union and the Far East Asia, portion of Asia, and China. So, of course, at the end, I'm going to have to say that this is a side effects of the war. I'm not going to say it is the actual war, because at the end, we cannot allow any country to dictate any strait. We have 200 major straits in the world. If we allow one country to dictate one of them, this means we're going to create a really like a chaos in the supply chain globally. So in the meantime, we have to understand that I know that the United States maybe have different strategical interests, different than Europe, different than England, Russia, China, whatever it is. But at the end, we have to understand that the Iranian regime for the last 47 years was creating all kind of chaos in the Middle East. And now we discovered the actual face of the Iranian regime. That the regime is trying to control 20% of the global energy that comes from that area by saying that he has the right to dictate that strait. So we have to understand that we need to deal with this. Other than that, we cannot just keep going back and forth with this particular regime. We have to understand that this particular regime, it has that mentality that it needs to control the Middle East. It showed that it has the ability with the ballistic missiles that it has, it can reach Europe. And in the meantime, it's rich in uranium more than 60%. So, it's not the United States. The international community has to understand that.
Right. Well, again, staying with the international community, is there something that the surrounding countries, the Arab countries in the region, could do to support the United States in their mission to stop the enrichment of uranium and also perhaps to decapitate the IRGC?
Well, the problem is the geography of Iran and the size of Iran as a country in the Middle East, plus the closest distance between Iran and the Gulf states in general, all of them, it created really a problem for those countries. They were trying to play moderate. They tried just to defend themselves against the attack, which is Iran claiming that the biggest Satan is the United States and Israel, while in the meantime, it attacked those countries with 85% of the force versus 15% for the United States troops and Israel. So most likely, that will take us back to the main goals of the Islamic revolutionary goals in the Middle East. They were trying to spread that revolution over the Middle East. They took control of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza in Palestine, and Yemen. So they have the mentality of the old Persian empires, that they can control this area and they have the right to, which is actually one of their negotiation points was to take all those military bases from the Gulf states out of that, which is like, actually to me, it's kind of interfering in the sovereignty of countries that, they are free countries to decide their strategical interests with whoever they would like to have agreements or not. In the meantime, those countries, they never interfered of Iranian relationships with China and Russia, as an example. So I think we reach a point. We reach a point that we have to deal with this system. Other than that, if the United States and the global community are not going to understand that, and they're not going to come and support the United States in this, I don't know who's going to face this regime, if this regime will attain a nuclear power.
Right, very quickly, if you would, please, Frank. Now, it's been well recognized over the decades that Iran has been sponsoring terrorist groups around the world, Gaza, the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, and so on. What can you share with us about how those groups are doing? Are they starting to weaken in their abilities to wreak terror?
They're weakened, yes, they're weakened. And that's what really not favorable for the Iranians. That's why, if you remember, one of the points, too, is to control over Lebanon. They were applying one of the conditions, or trying to apply one of the conditions, that if the United States will cease fire, they have to cease fire, or Israel has to cease fire in Lebanon. But in the meantime, the president of Lebanon, he just came out openly and he said, we are a free country. I would like to deal with Israel, negotiate with Israel. This is our own business. Iran is trying to include Lebanon in any deal. I don't understand, how this is going to be acceptable from Lebanon side, or, from the previous Syrian situation, and now they maybe still have a little bit more grip in Iraq. But I think their grip over Lebanon is getting way loose. In Yemen, way loose as well. Syria is over. I don't think they have any opportunities over Gaza and over Hamas anymore. So the last stronghold that they have, Iraq, and I think maybe the last account will be in Iraq.
Well, let's see how long that stronghold lasts. Frank Musmar, as always, thank you very much for sharing your analysis with our audience.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it. Thank you as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Goodbye.